Hey, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Extra Feature Interviews. Today I have a fabulous guest, short, Greed and Gore, director and writer Adam Kirkey's here. Welcome.
Hey man, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Just gearing up for the festival season. It seems like we're in a festival like every weekend, if not more multiple every weekend. So it's been a bit of a, good thing and bad thing. Bad thing that I can't keep track of them all sometimes, which it sounds crazy, but then a good thing that, we've been getting so much love from the movie.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you should have love for this film. It has Greed and Gore. I think pretty much your title has it all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's like something, when you go to some of these festivals or you rent a movie or download it on the internet and they have a title and they have a poster and I don't know, seven maybe out of 10 times you watch that movie and you're like, they didn't really deliver on that poster or they didn't really deliver on that title. But I think we bring every bit of the greed and every bit of the gore.
Yes, absolutely you do. I do have, let's start off with my first question.
Sounds good.
Do you wish you had more time?
Oh my god, always. Yeah, man, like it's like I think we always wish we had more time when we do these things, and it's something that obviously you don't always get. But at the end of the day, you are slated with a certain amount of time, and you kind of plan and budget that time when you go to film, and you get what you can when you do it. I mean, there's a few times like when we were filming that we're like, I really thought like, oh God, we're not gonna shoot this movie at all. Like we're way behind. But then, you surround yourself with, talented people and different departments that get you back on track and, get you back in the realm of getting stuff in the can. So yeah, I mean, I think like if I could break down your question a bit further, if the real root of the question would be, do you wish you had more money? Because if I had more money, I would have had more time,
True.
you know? So that's kind of what it breaks down to. But yeah, we actually shot this over 4 days, I want to say. We started filming on a Thursday. And then by Sunday, we were doing kind of like ADR on set because we just knew with how much just effects that were happening in the movie, the fights, we had rain in the movie, that we'd need to redo a bunch of lines. So by Sunday, we built a little sound booth on location and we queued up some takes, and then the actors and actresses were able to go in and give us five versions of something and then move on to the next person or the next line. So that actually went pretty well.
Okay, so you brought it up. Let's start there. The effects, I mean, they're definitely evident. I noticed them, especially the lightning and thunder effects.
Yeah,
Now,
so yeah, what do you want to know?
I want to discuss how much did you have to work under ADR? I mean, you do hear your actors talk during these shots too.
Yeah,
So you had to
so
play with that a lot, I would say.
yeah, so the rain was probably the most we had to do ADR. And then there's a couple lines in the car that had to be replaced just from like a faulty mic. But yeah, like so if if I were to do another movie with lightning, I would time things a lot better because we just set stuff up and we position some of the lightning on timers, and then we just let it go and we let it go randomly essentially. But there was no real like start stop to the lightning, and there was no real consistency throughout the take. So while we were filming, that was actually one of the biggest things, was getting the continuity of the lightning, because the lightning happens probably more than it should, but we're like, it's a short, nobody really cares. But that was
Whoa,
the
hold on. I care.
you care. Okay, well, I appreciate you saying that.
Don't say
um
people don't care. Like film people like me that watch, let's say, 400 shorts a year.
wow,
And that's not
that's
a joke. I'm a judge in the film festival contest, so I do see
so you do have to
out.
watch
I
them.
do watch 250 a year at
Yeah,
least,
no, I get
and
that. But
I
you know
help
what?
out on another one. So I'm probably around 400 to 500 shorts a year, I'd say.
That's pretty great. You probably have a vast knowledge of stuff then. But I would like, I say like no one cares, but like what I mean is like, we put a lot of effort into making it work. But at the end of the day, if people are counting lightning, then we failed as filmmakers because they're not paying attention to the story. So,
I am not counting the lightning. I was just more interested in the effect
yeah,
of it.
yeah. But so like, yeah, in terms of like the actual ADR, like I am a bit of a stickler for just getting as much natural sound on set.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and I spent like another day when the entire cast and crew was gone, and I went into the house and I recorded a bunch of doorknobs and just tiny stuff like that, just to try and get as much real sounding stuff in it as possible. And I obsessed over it a lot more than probably other filmmakers do. But for me, like, you can do a lot of stuff in post with like, visual effects and it looks really good. But I think like the movies that sell the most to me is the stuff that like where they put a lot of work into the sound. Because, well, you said you watch like 400 some odd films a year.
I
I'm
do.
willing to bet.
No, that's short. About 600 total movies. I watch about 200 to 300 feature length.
Wow, that's impressive. But I mean, just there I'm sure there is a handful you watch where you're like, you guys didn't put any work into the sound. Like
Yep, 100%.
and then for me, that's a big indicator of, whether or not a movie tried really hard. Because I think it's like nowadays with cameras, your phone, you can make anything look pretty good, but I think it's still kind of hard to make stuff sound really good.
I will agree with that. Now, how did you find working with the lighting effects? Because you have the light flickers a lot.
Yeah, so like I was saying, like the timing of it ended up being kind of a bit of an issue in post production. The setting it up and getting everything looking good on the day was took less time than I actually thought it would. Just like setting up some simple kind of 3 point lighting and then having the lightning out of frame and um, just like position like so it would light people up in an interesting way, and then that we would lower exposures when they would go off. But yeah, filming with it was honestly not a big deal. Like we did our best to time it, and again, like in editing it, it proved to be a bit difficult. Whereas, like if we did another movie with lightning, I think I would have somebody timing it like, okay, we want lightning at this beat at this moment, like really kind of work it into the script. I will say though, the one thing I didn't think of is we would film with this lightning on. We wouldn't turn it off in between takes. We'd just like give a bit of scene direction. Let's light the next shot, move the key light, but the lightning was constantly flashing, every 30 seconds or so. And then when I went to go to bed at night while filming, I closed my eyes and that's all I could see is the
Yep,
flashes. The
I can see
flashes would
that.
still go, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm having like a flashback to set. That's all I could like see for like most of the night. It's like terrible sleep.
Okay, you start off your film with a drone shot of a park. I want to know what park that is.
It's less of a park and it's more of like call it like a bog maybe or swamp, if you will.
Fair enough.
So we filmed this in Canada, Ontario, Canada, sort of north of Kingston, Ontario. I don't know how familiar you are with Canada, but
I'm very
um,
familiar with Canada since I live here.
oh, you're from Canada too. Oh, awesome.
I'm
Thanks.
Canadian, yeah. So
Oh,
we're
okay,
okay,
cool.
north of Kingston. So we're talking, so you're going north? So you're
Yeah.
going that one of those small, what's it, Bruce something? I know where you are. You're not getting Aqua, you're over that way.
No, it's a little further north than that. But yeah, no, it's funny you say Canada because the festival was like, oh, reach out to these people for the Philadelphia one, and I was like, oh, that's okay, cool. They must be all PA based, but
Nope.
that's awesome. Where are you based?
I'm based out of Toronto.
Oh, nice, awesome. Yeah, I went to film school in Toronto, so
There you go. You went to probably, I don't know why we're gonna, I'm not editing this out. Carlton would be my guess. Carlton Street
uh,
College, Dundas.
no, the old Toronto Film School when it was in the CDC building actually,
Oh,
but
you're going, okay. You're moving up. Yeah, there is one also on Dundas, a film school.
yeah, I think they moved it there eventually,
Oh,
but.
okay. There you go. Say, I did know
Exactly.
where it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. But yeah, no, it was north of Kingston. But Yeah, so if you look close, there's actually there's a beaver dam or like house in the foreground of a shot, and yeah, like we just shot that, like, it was kind of abandoned looking area. We wanted to like just show that they're really out in the wilderness, but like I will eventually release it. But there's like some VFX I did there, but I painted out the drone pilot who, for whatever reason, didn't hide well behind a tree, so I added some more trees. So I was like, "There's no way I can leave this in the movie. There's like man standing there." And then there's actually a house somewhere in the shot that I painted over and just kind of added some more trees. So I think it goes pretty well. That like most people don't catch it at all. So I think it's fine.
Okay. The cabin, whose cabin is it?
So it's something I actually found. So I was once I had the script done, I was kind of like shopping around, and my day-to-day job, I'm a freelance photographer. I do a lot of real estate work and corporate projects and stuff like that. So I'm always in rural places all the time. And a friend of mine, he was like, "Have you ever gone up I won't say where the road is, just so these people don't get people stalking this house, but like, have you gone up the old blah 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 road?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, this is a real freaky looking one up there." So I drove down and saw it, and I was like, "This is great." I called a couple realtor friends, and just because it's, small town Canada, within like 20 minutes, I was on the phone with the owner of the property, and I was going over to his house, and we made a handshake deal, and he let us use the house. It was that simple.
We're Canadian. That's just the way we work.
I know it's just it honestly, it was the smoothest location I've ever gotten ever. And then he took me on a tour of it and told me the story of it was the first house on the road, and it's over 100 years old, and all this and that. And he's like, "If you want to use it, you can use it. No fuss, no muss. We'll make sure it's in good working order for you." But that worked out pretty great. The basement though, that was actually, it's a different location because that place didn't have a basement that we could film in safely. Just had kind of like a hole in the ground, and we were able to locate that. I wish I found a more period accurate basement, but I think it works fine enough for the purposes of the film.
Okay, what can I know you don't. Do you want me to talk about what happens at the house, or do you want me to gloss over that?
I mean, I don't know if it matters that much, but we can use vague
Okay.
descriptions,
We're
maybe.
in the
I don't know.
basement, something happens.
Yeah.
Did you have a longer take of that, or is always a quick edit cut to where the action starts?
Where the good stuff happens.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it was kind of done as intended, really and truly. Which I felt pretty good about, like coming out of it. Like we kind of got it the way we, for the most part, wanted. It was my first time working with like major practical effects, so there was a bit of a learning curve with like lighting it, filming it, and just the overall like structure of a production of working around the construction of that on the set. And I like to work really fast, and like I sort of thrive on it. And things slow down a lot when you bring in a practical effect, just because there's so many moving parts and working parts. So there was a lot of facilitating work that went into it, but I think we pulled it off as good as we could have pulled it off with the circumstances we had. But yeah, the I won't spoil it too much, but just let's just say somebody loses their head in the movie, but it's a particularly different way they lose their head. So
That is correct.
so yeah, it always goes over really well at the festivals too. So if you're heading to a festival anytime soon in the Halloween season and we're playing at it, you guys will know what we're talking about when you see it. Or if you hear this after, maybe at the second half of the podcast, I can tell you all the spoilery parts. But
There is no second half. This is it.
no, yeah, okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, it was a lot of work getting it right on the day. And I think the thing that sells it the most, like we did a live cast of
Hello?
the actors, like at least the top half of his head. when you watch them without any like color correction or treatment or stuff like that, they do look a little derpy. So the thing that sold it the most was replacing his eyeballs with, like I say his the dummy's eyeballs with the actual actor's eyeballs, kind of like treated a bit. And that, as soon as we did that, we're like, oh, it looks really real. Like that sold the effect.
Okay, the actors. I mean, I think that I like this look of these actors. They actually look like they could have done what they did.
I appreciate you saying that, man. Very much that we put a lot. I personally put a lot of thought into the cast and the way they look and the way they act. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I want people that do things to look like they're supposed to be doing those things. I think that's a very important thing as a short director, even a feature director. If I don't feel the characters are doing what they're supposed to do, then it doesn't work.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And it's yeah. I should make a mention quick too. Like so, the guy who plays Delta, the driver,
Hmm.
he was only supposed to be our firearms safety guy on the set,
Oh,
and
okay.
so we had cast another gentleman. He lived in New York, and he was really great for the role. I think it would have just been different had he been in the film, and it was at the time when COVID stuff was still a little heavy, and you needed certain COVID tests across the Canadian border. And so we had that all lined up. He had his shots, he had his COVID test ready to go. But at the time, the test they were doing in the States was different from the test they were doing in Canada. And so the Canadian border wouldn't let him across. And then we tried to find him the right test in time, but it just didn't work out. Even though we were trying to get him here like 2 days in advance, it just didn't work out. So last minute, we had to recast that role. And Kurt, who stepped into the role, excuse me, it's Kurt who stepped into the role. He did a really good job for being forced into a situation where he wasn't prepared at all for it. He was going through some personal drama in his life, and he was able to, I think, really get the role going in a great direction. And like last minute, we did some rewrites to, you know, go more towards his strengths, like acting wise. But yeah, that was like a super last minute thing, and I think he did well enough, like pulling it off. And I think it's a testament to him, like he stepped up to the plate, like. Um, but I think it's also like everyone else in the film was very strong, and they sort of helped foster him into the role, and they rehearsed with him like for hours before, like nonstop, and like really helped him. But yeah, it's like some of the cast I'd worked with in the past, like the guy who loses his head. He's a good friend of mine. We go way back, and he's a talented guy that I put in movies, and he's not trying to be an actor. He's just living his life, and I'll put him in stuff, and I find he's great. And then a few of the other people have been in some stuff, so we were able to cast them. But the guy who plays Whiskey, the guy with the beard, the bald guy, he's kind of like our heavy. He just sent on the casting thing. He sent a photo of himself looking very much like he does in the film, just like a badass. And he all his cover letter said was "Let's kill some shit." And then I was like, "Oh," I sent it to my other producing partner Matt, and I was like, "Dude, we found our guy." He's like, "You haven't even heard him do the audition yet." I'm like, "Yeah, but look at this cover letter." And he's like, "But I think he means it. Like, I think he really wants to kill some shit." So, but I don't know. It went pretty well. There's a few other times we did like script reads, and the cast got to see each other for the first time, like on a Zoom call. Um, and the guy from New York was like, "Y'all look like I pictured in my head when I read the script." So it was
That's
a
good.
huge compliment. So half the battle is, do they look the part, and then hopefully they can sound the part.
Okay, I do want to discuss the look of your protagonist.
The killer,
If I can say that, sure.
yeah,
How did
the
that
bad
come
guy.
about? Is that what you wanted? Did you want to play with things? Or was that what always the play? Is what I saw.
No, I mean we had the costume. So the just for the there's somebody was supposed to play two roles, and then they couldn't make it to set. And the costume was the original costume was set to fit them, and because we had to put somebody else in the costume last minute, it had to change a bit, and we had some different sizing issues. I'm still happy with how the mask looked. We got that on. There's a Instagram creator. She's out of Montreal. Like her name's Makeup Billy, I think that's her handle. She does a lot of great work. But we bought something off her. We kind of wanted something original, but there was no time. That is something I wish we could have done a bit better. I still think we did well with it. Like it's the image on our poster. Like it's still like I think it's great, but it didn't get to the level I think we were capable of. But you talked earlier about like having more time, and I think that's something I wish we had more time for something like that where we could have done something a little different. But I'm still happy with it at the end of the day.
Okay, I always have to ask because there's lots of it. Working with blood is probably the hardest thing to do, I think, in any kind of film like this.
Yeah, it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And like every time there was blood, I always just said more, more, more. And
Good, good
yeah,
work, good choice.
I still felt like in post, I was like, I wish we had more. We had a few moments where we added some digital blood here and there just to enhance some stuff or to kind of like bridge between a digital or a practical kind of a shot. Um, but yeah, honestly, the blood was not as hard as you would have thought to work with. We got multiple versions of everybody's costume, so if just in case something got burned, we were safe. Honestly, I think the hardest thing to work with in terms of liquids was the rain, like having the girls fight in the rain. So, but yeah, the blood actually was a little less difficult than I thought, and we were able to do what we wanted in these locations and get them all dirty and messed up. And I put in the budget a couple extra $100 to hire a cleaning service after, which I had to really make sure I explained to them that we were filming a movie. Don't worry about it. It's not what you think, because it looked like they were cleaning up a crime scene sometimes. But yeah, no, it was actually a lot easier to work with than I thought it was, in terms of like a practical thing.
Okay, don't forget, you had music. I did forget to mention it. I just wanted to do it later.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up actually. So the score, it's done by Steph Cole, who I've worked with a number of times now, and I think she's the best. She's like really really talented. And when I showed her this project this time, she's like, oh, she's like, I don't know if you have the budget for it, but I'd really like to hire a cellist and just get her in the studio for a day and just have her make some weird sounds on this electric cello. And I was like, yeah, let's do it 100%. So um, a lot of those like kind of grinding, earthy sounds you hear in the film, like played on cello, it's actually recorded like for real and not like digital. There is obviously lots of digital sounds in it, but yeah, we're able to do that for real, which was felt pretty great.
I do have to ask, is there a sequel coming?
Not a sequel, but we we've had such great response from this film. Like we've been in like over 80 festivals like that we've been accepted to at this point. We've won like I don't know, it's like 18 awards or so, nominated a bunch, and we're only now going into like the heavy genre festival season. So because we've gotten all that love and all that, it's given us the confidence to expand out to the feature. So we
Good.
have we have a script that's just kind of going through the proofreads phase right now. I've talked to all the locations, some of the actors, about coming back, or if some people maybe just maneuvering around, like doing something different that is needed for the feature, or just if their schedule, will allow it. So we're putting like real work into the feature version of it. Yeah, we're hoping for like a year from now to start filming that.
Excellent.
So yeah, like bringing back all of the team, bringing on new people. It'd be great if we could attach, a couple of genre stars to it, like going to all these cons, like getting to see people come out to see stars that, personally I thought like nobody remembered or heard of, but I'm like, there's like lineups around the corner to see some of these stars, and I'm like, cool. Like, what if they want to be in a movie? If they see the short, they probably want to maybe at least hear a proposal. So
Okay, I'm gonna go off topic for a tiny second. I just
do
watched a
it.
film with Heather Langenkamp. Okay,
Heather
I
Lynn
just didn't
Camp.
right from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, yes, I know who you're
And
talking about.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, this is not a horror movie. This is a straight drama she's in.
Okay.
So I'm sure they're up for it. Like I was shocked to see her in this person's film. Like he brought her up, I didn't because I didn't. She's not in it a lot. She's only in
Right,
it very
right.
briefly. It's just stuff like that. I was like, oh wow, I'm shocked. So yeah, reach out. A lot of these people aren't working. So
That's the thing. And I'm like, I don't mean this disparagingly either. Like, but like a lot of them do these cons because they're not getting casted in
correct.
in in roles. But I'm like, these people are like great actors or actresses, and I'm like, why aren't people using them? Like, some people use them, and like they maybe didn't make as good of a film as they could have. But like, I'm like, there's some great talent out there. I'm like, maybe we can't offer them a ton of money, but I'm like, we'll treat them really well. We'll, make sure they or have a great experience. But I don't know. I think there's just this great talent pool out there. So I would love to cast some people and bring them on board for the feature. And I don't know. I'm really excited about the script. Like, I think what we were able to do in the short, I think we can do it times 10 in a feature version.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. We're near the end of the interview, the time I asked you three fun questions.
Ooh, I love these.
So, first one, because your first time on my show, favorite film.
Favorite film of all time. You ask me this question every single day, I'll give you a different answer.
I know I
Uh,
like them.
yeah, but you know what? It's the spooky season, and I just watched this while playing the board game. But I'm gonna have to say The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. So it's definitely a big influence horror wise. I watched it when I was a kid, when I wasn't supposed to. Like when you're like a little kid and you're like sleeping in the same bed as your parents still, and my mom would be like, watch like a scary movie, and she'd just be like, turn around, don't watch this. But
Of
you're
course
like
you are.
6. Yeah, but you're like 6. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch this right to the end. Like, so yeah, I think that imprinted on me as a child, maybe.
One horror franchise you will make the next episode of or next installment.
Ooh, the next installment. I uh I was thinking about this the other day. I love the Friday the 13th movies, and I think they're like great fun, and obviously watching my movie there's some influence there. Um but I don't know if this counts as a franchise, but a book I really loved and the movie execution was absolutely terrible was World War Z. I think
Oh,
there's
it was
something,
awful.
yeah,
Awful film.
and but the book is so cool. I think there's something you could do there with a not mockumentary, but like fake documentary style zombie thing that would be really interesting, personally.
Please do it because that movie was
Yeah,
awful.
it was.
One
Yeah.
one film you should recommend that everyone should see, but it's not very watched often.
Oh yes. So have you ever heard of Psycho Gorman?
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't heard of that, but I guess it's Canadian, so that's why you've probably heard of it. But
Maybe, or I just
uh,
watched way too many films.
that's true. Psycho Gorman's amazing. There's another one. It's less on the horror side, but it's another made in Canada one. But it's the Kid Detective. I think it's just a phenomenal story and script.
Is that the one that they shot in North Bay?
It is, yeah,
Then I've seen it.
yeah. Was it
Sorry.
filmed? Yeah, no, I love that.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I
well,
guess I don't have one to stump you.
that's all right. That's what I was looking for. Okay. I guess your film is only available on the film festival circuit, so please
Yeah,
look for
that's
it.
That's it's playing in a city near you. I guarantee it because we're in 4 or 5 every weekend for the next, like, I don't know, till the start of November. So yeah, we're in New York, we're in LA, we're in Philadelphia for First Glance. We're in, I don't know, it feels like almost every major city. Houston, Chicago. We're gonna be screening in Montreal soon. All the way on the far east coast of Canada, in Newfoundland coming up too. So it's all over the place.
Okay, well, let's pimp out your site then. This is probably a good time.
That's true. You can go to what is it, greedandgore.ca or com. If you search Greed and Gore, will come up. But Greed and Gore Film, sorry, on Instagram is probably the best place to just stay up to date with where the film's playing, all our festival announcements. We have the like pinned at the top of the page, um, our trailer and bigger festival announcements. So that's up there. And I will also just shout out one quick thing. We're doing a screening at the Mayfair in Ottawa. So I'll just say this because you're Canadian based too. But yeah, the Mayfair Theater in Ottawa, September 30th. We're doing a thing called Half Hour of Horror, showing off two shorts. The Greed and Gore, which I obviously wrote, directed, and then a film called The Trunk, which I was a producer cinematographer on. And yeah, just gonna do a little screening. It's only $5, kind of like pay what you can. But yeah, come on out for Half Hour Horror. It's coming to Ottawa.
Thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate you having me on.